Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is, as you have already heard it, Andrea Geipel. And to inform you in the beginning, I studied sports science, so I'm not a social scientist, and I did research in sport psychology and neuroscience. But since April, I'm also doing research in the Digital Media Lab at the Munich Center for Science and Technology, which is based in the Technische Universität München. And there I'm working as a PhD candidate, and in my project I'm dealing with science communication, or want to take a look on science communication on YouTube. And yes, I started in April, so a few months ago. I'm at the very beginning of my PhD project, and what I'm going to present to you in this talk with the title Awesome Science, Science and Technology Actors at YouTube, is that I want to give you short insight of my first outline. First, I'm going to answer the question why I think this topic is really interesting and important. Then I will present you my key questions, which I have just postulated. And after that, I will present you the methods I'm planning to use, and at the end, some cases and some first thoughts about this topic. So let's start. Why science communication on YouTube? So first of all, sure, science communication is not new. This is just one example. Justus von Liebig, with his chemical letters, he sent to newspapers starting in 1841, and therefore he communicated to the public and explained his scientific work. Nowadays, the internet is getting more and more important, as we just heard. Not only science blogs where scientists post their own work, explain what they do in their research, and try to postulate their opinions, but also Twitter or Facebook, where you can read something about science work. And YouTube. YouTube is the leading video platform. It was founded in 2005, so 10 years ago, and up to now it has around 1 billion users, and it is used in 75 countries. And in a lot of countries, until now, it is already the second most used search engine after Google. And if you start a search for the word science, you already get a result of up to 10 million videos, single videos, and around 1 million channels. So there is already a high presence of science on YouTube. But on the other side, there are only a few studies, a few research work looking at this topic, science communication on YouTube. And therefore, I think it is really interesting and important to get more insight in, or to get a better understanding how science communication on YouTube works. And this not only according to the increasing number of users, especially in the age between 14 and 19, but also, and that leads me to my key question, in order to answer how these videos are made and why and by whom. How are they produced and created? What does that mean in detail? And here we come to the first video, and I think you expected, or you hoped for a video. This one is from a channel called Science. And as you can see, it is about the 9 best scientific study tips. And in this video, they use results from studies in psychology and in neuroscience. And just take a short look on the first 2 tips.
Time for school. And it's no surprise that many of us are determined to study smarter instead of longer. But which study tips and tricks actually work scientifically and can help you get those perfect grades? First up, research shows that study sessions are most effective in small, short chunks. Instead of cramming in a 10-hour study session, it's much more effective to spread it out into 20, 30-minute sessions over a few weeks. This is because your brain is better at encoding information into the synapses in short, repeated sessions as opposed to one large one. And this is why even learning different skills, whether it's swimming, tennis, or a singing lesson, often follows this same format. And while cramming and pulling all-nighters may be a ritual, it turns out that this is linked to the lowest grades. After prolonged nocturnal study sessions, reasoning and memory may be negatively affected for up to 4 whole days. Instead, setting up specific times in a day or during the week just to study primes your brain by creating a routine, and over time, studying actually becomes easier as your brain is trained to learn in those moments. And
Okay, let's stop here. So to remember my research question, my key question, when I watched this video, the first question in my mind is, who are the producers? So we just saw the one hand holding the pencil, and I asked myself, is it one person? Is there a whole team? Are they working in a professional studio, or is it just something they do in their free time because they love to do it? And if I say because they love to do it, that's the next question. What do they think? What is their motivation? What are their goals producing those videos? Not only why do they want to communicate science, but also why communicating in producing a web video, what is really time consuming, not easy to do. And why did they upload the videos on YouTube? And the next question is, if you take a look on exactly this picture, what about the design, the format, the way they present their content? So in this video, they used the whiteboard technique. It's something you see now everywhere in every marketing video. And for me, it's interesting to find out if they just use this technique because they like it, because they know how to do it, or was it a decision because they know if we use it, then we get a lot of subscribers? Or is it the perfect way in order to communicate science? And the last question for me is, why do they upload their videos on YouTube? Is it only because it is the leading platform, or are there other decisions in the background? And on the other side, what is YouTube as a platform offering scientists to upload their videos, and how does it promote and contribute those videos? How is the linkage working? And in order to answer all these questions, I'm planning to use a mix of qualitative empirical methods, starting with interviews. I say starting because I already had conducted 2 interviews. Interviews with producers of those science web videos, but also with probably with key persons, according to YouTube, like the organizers of the Web Video Days or the Creator Space in Berlin. And in addition to that, I am planning to use ethnographical methods. So I want to go in their studio or in their living room, I don't know where they produce their videos, and just observe how the production is going on and what is the production process. And these 2 together hopefully give me more insight in this production process and the motivation and the goals. And on the other side, I will use qualitative video analysis in order to take a closer look to single web videos, looking at the format, the design, the presentation, the storyline they use in order to communicate scientific topics. And I plan to create and use a YouTube tool. So what does that mean? I already talked to some computational scientists. That's a good point, being at the technical university. And the plan is to create a tool which makes it better visible to see how the linkage on YouTube works. So the different categories on linkage. Is it just a technical linkage according to the number of clicks or number of subscribers, or can we observe a kind of implicit linkage according to the content, to the design, or even the comments? So yeah, sure, that's future, but we are talking about it, and hopefully I can present you something of this data in the future. And these 2 methods hopefully will lead me to a better understanding of YouTube, YouTube as a platform for science communication. As I already told you, I'm right at the beginning, so I just selected the first 4 cases. And at the end of last week and Monday this week, I conducted my first 2 interviews, and for sure there are no results I can present you, because I had no time to do an analysis. But I brought some short fragments just to give you kind of a glimpse on what we talked about. So these are the first 2 cases. Start with TEDxTum. It's not the typical thing you first think of when you think of YouTube, probably, but the TEDx conferences, the talks are filmed, and then The videos are uploaded on the TED homepage, but they are also spread and discussed on YouTube. TEDx TUM is a really new project at the Technical University in Munich. It's a studential initiative, so it started last year. So at the end of October, they are organizing the second conference. And I had the possibility to talk to one of the organizers. She is leading the marketing team. And we talked about a lot of stuff, and I brought 2 fragments. The first, I asked her what is the key point of TED conferences for science communication, and she said that for her the key point is that it is available for everybody and that it is presented in a way that everybody can understand it. And that is the most important thing for her, for the TED conferences, according to science communication. And I asked her about the video format, because they are organizing the TED conference local in Munich, and I was wondering how important for her is this video format, and afterwards the uploading on the TED homepage and YouTube. And for her, she said it's practically that what brings this idea, which is presented away from the local audience to potentially the whole world, and therefore for her it is a very important component. The second interview I conducted was with Philipp Häuser. He's a young PhD candidate by himself in computational science, but he also is a science journalist. He started doing television shows right after he finished school. And therefore, first of all, I wanted to know why he wanted to communicate science right after school. And he answered that he believes that the most important thing for him was or is that he himself has a lot of fun dealing with scientific topics. And on the other hand, for him it is important to change the image of natural sciences, especially physics. He was a physics student, out of being outdated and being he said the behavior of bearded professors, which is boring, and he wants to change this image and make the people to realize that it is cool and that it makes fun. And we also talked about YouTube. Despite the fact that he mostly works for television, a few years ago he started also to create his own YouTube channel. And right now he is planning to publish a book about physics with experiments, which I think he will publish it next year, he said. And in addition, he wants to produce videos about these experiments and upload them on YouTube. And I asked him, why YouTube? Why are you doing that? And his answer was, because for him it is relatively simple to use YouTube. You can just try stuff out. So he always compared it to television. He told me that in television it is very difficult to try something new. And therefore he also said that he thinks that YouTube offers a good possibility to reach a more specific audience instead of television, where still everything has to please everybody. And that was why for him YouTube is a good platform in order to communicate science. In addition to those 2 cases, I selected 2 more cases. Let's start with the one on the left side. It's a channel called In a Nutshell, or kurz gesagt, in German. I'm going to conduct an interview with one of the founders at the end of October. And this is a channel created by a team of computational scientists and designers. And they are located in Munich. And in an online interview, they said that their goal is to communicate science in a modern way. So let's see what for them is a modern way.
What would happen to you if a black hole the size of a coin suddenly appeared near you? Short answer, you'd die. Long answer, it depends. Is it a black hole with the mass of a coin, or is it as wide as a coin? Suppose a US nickel with a mass of about 5 grams magically collapsed into a black hole. This black hole would have a radius of 10 to the power of minus 30 meters. By comparison, a hydrogen atom is about 10 to the power of minus 11 meters. So the black hole compared to an atom is as small as an atom compared to the sun. Unimaginably small. And a small black hole would also have an unimaginably short lifetime to decay by Hawking radiation. It would radiate away what little mass it has in 10 to the power of minus 23 seconds. Its 5 grams of mass will be converted to 450 terajoules of energy, which will lead to an explosion roughly 3 times bigger than the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. In this case, you die.
So let's stop here again, on the place where we die. As you can see, it is different in, according to the content to the first video I showed you from Science. So they try to explain very complex scientific topics, but they use kind of the same design or the same presentation format in that way that they use animation. The video is very colorful. They try to explain it using a storyline, and they even, I think since 2014, they even have their own music created for this video, the same as Science does, and they have this great speaker hired for these videos. And for this design, they were even nominated this year for the Web Video Awards in the category Journalism. So the last case I want to present you is Science. You already watched one video from this channel. Why did I decide Science? Because it is a channel with, for a science topic, a huge number of subscribers, because until now they have more than 4 million subscribers. They started in 2012, and the channel is created by 2 young biologists in Canada. And in an online interview, they said they do it because we want science to be involved with pop culture. And therefore, they use this whiteboard technique. And in this design, they also published a book at the beginning of this year. But they also have another channel called Thoughts, where they go more into detail on some topics, where they don't use that design techniques. They just film themselves interviewing some experts around the world. And what is relatively new to their channel is that they now also produce their own music. They already had some music videos about science where they did some parody on well-known pop songs. And this is now a song they produced by themselves. It's the Science Love Song. And yeah, just hear and watch.
I'll be the spark if you'll be the flame. Start a reaction that can't be contained. Balance your pH by sharing my base. I'll be your star if you'll be my space.
'Cause there is no distance that I wouldn't go. Through space-time and wormholes my matter would flow to the edge of the universe.
I'll be your G if you will be C, or I can be A if you will be T. If there's a mutation, I'll fix every base, working as your zinc finger nuclease. Just like an atom, don't rip us apart, unless you want a big boom in my heart. We can take it fast or really slow, but we can't know with certainty where we'll go. If at first we don't succeed, we'll try 2 more times, so our failures are statistically significant. Try. Like an equation, it all works out. If we balance the sides, there's no need to doubt. This is your science love song, a place to start our chemical bond, a research endeavor. We can write the conclusion together.
Okay, let's stop here. So if you want to have the link, I give it to you for sure.
Just like the movies, I'd steal.
Stop, I just want to show you again the picture because what I haven't mentioned yet is that there are 2 channels or 3 channels I think they have until now are now so famous and they have so many subscribers that this is their full-time job. So they have hired 5 freelancers working for them, doing the research stuff. They have a marketing chief doing the social media stuff, and they really, seems to have that they really earn a lot of money out of doing these videos. Yeah. So before I come to an end and I hurry up, just some first thoughts. Yes, I'm at the beginning, but until now I just explored, and therefore I watched so many YouTube videos, and there are already some thoughts in my head I want to take a closer look on during my PhD project. So first of all, if you look at the channels with the most subscribers, the producers of these channels and of these videos are non-scientists. Non-scientists in that way that they are not as affiliated to any institution. They have no titles. Mostly they are just, probably they studied and then they have just interest to communicate science, or they are designers or computational scientists. What leads me to the next point, because therefore it seems to be that on these science YouTube videos, design is more important than the content, which does not mean that it is bad science or it is, there is no science in the videos at all, but probably it doesn't matter which scientific topic they talk about. It is more important if the design is colorful, the video is short, it is understandable, and if the music is good. Another point is the message. So watching all those videos, there we have only a positive message about science. So science is cool, it is fun, it is popular culture, and there is rarely no video about criticism about science, like that science can produce results which are risky, or the funding of science. It is always positive and affirmative, but there is an implicit message according to that, and we heard it already in the interview with Philipp Heuser, that there is this bad image of science, outdated, boring, and this is just, as I just said, an implicit message. And we heard of that today too. In the last talk, the definition of science is very interesting, because talking to colleagues, to experts, but also to friends and families, it is very interesting how they categorize these videos and what is science for them. So someone tells me, you have to add this channel because there are 2 guys wearing Googles and white stuff, and then they just make something explode, and that's science. And someone else, a colleague, watches with me ASAP Science, and he just watched it, and then he said, but that's learning, that's not science. So for me it is very interesting doing the interviews and taking a closer look on YouTube to get to know the different definitions of science according to the audience, the producers, but also to YouTube. And one last point is, you see it here in the bottom line, what I also think very important is that there is a rising use of the comment section. And not only that, ASAP Science is giving some further readings, here's some links, in order to start a discussion. There are already discussions, like here, a physics teacher who is starting a discussion about the distinction between voltage and current in the video. And I think this is another thought in my mind I want to take a closer look on. But now, I know I'm over time, sorry for that. Thank you for your attention, and we have it. I'm very excited for your advices, questions, remarks.